my friends, and welcome to another Dragonstaff tutorial. In this video, we'll be covering both forward propellers and reverse propellers. Before we jump into this one, I just have to say a huge thank you to all of you supporting here on Patreon. I know that I say it every time, but I do mean it every time. Of all of the jobs that I do and things that I get to do with Dragonstaff and Flow Arts, this is by far the most important to me. It is my favorite thing to do, and therefore your support means the world to me. So I did already create a palm spin propeller tutorial. I will put a link to that in the description below because that can serve as a nice prerequisite. But in this video, I wanted to make more of a concept video rather than just covering a specific trick. We're going to be covering the concept of what propellers are, both forwards and reverse, and some nice tricks that we can get into from them. We're going to be coming into both our forwards and reverse propellers from a palm spin, which means that you'll want to have your palm spins down in both directions. If I'm coming into my palm spin on my right hand, the staff would be clockwise overhead if I looked up at the staff, and the other way is if I look up overhead with the staff in a palm spin in the right palm, it should be going counterclockwise overhead. So you'll want to have both of those directions down as well, so I'll put a palm spin tutorial in the description down below. So what do I mean when I say a forwards or reverse propeller? For a forwards propeller, if we come into the propeller from our palm spin in the right hand, if we brought the staff down in front of us, it would be going clockwise. So that is the direction that you'll want your palm spin going. Another way to tell is it will feel like the center point naturally wants to roll down the thumb side of the hand. So clockwise overhead, we let the staff roll off the thumb side of the hand. That is a forwards propeller, and as you can see, the staff exits rolling away from me or forwards. For a reverse propeller, we start with the staff in a counterclockwise palm spin in the right hand. And it should feel like the center point naturally wants to exit down the pinky side of the hand, which sets us up nicely for a matrix with the staff rolling away from us or towards our back. So what exactly is a propeller? A propeller is that point where the staff travels or wraps around the arm, kind of like your arm is a spiral staircase. So if I'm in my clockwise palm spin, staff exits down the thumb side, and see how it kind of wraps around the arm on its way down. So it didn't just roll down the arm like so. It wraps around the arm like the center point is walking down a spiral staircase. And the same thing would be true for your reverse propeller. Palm spin counterclockwise and see how it travels around the arm. And maybe you can notice propellers can be kept going by this little bit of momentum that I'm giving it with the arm. So I'm not just holding the arm straight up vertically, I'm also kind of giving it a wave or a circular motion, and that will give the staff some momentum around the arm to keep the roll going, and it will also help to stabilize the staff so that it doesn't drop. So you can see as it starts to make that circle around the arm, I start to make a bit of a waving motion. So first, we're going to focus just on our forwards propeller. Come into your palm spin with the staff going clockwise overhead in the right hand. And then at some point, when you feel the center point rolling towards the thumb side of your hand or wrist, you'll let the center point travel over the thumb side of the hand to end up on the wrist. And then from there, the center point's going to travel over the top of the wrist, wrap around to the bottom of the forearm, then towards the front or top of the bicep. And then sometimes you can even get it to go around one last time so that it comes around the front of the armpit or chest. So there are lots of tricks that we can come into from our forwards propeller. One would be a forearm roll, or a forwards forearm roll. I do have a tutorial for that as well. You can look it up on YouTube. I don't want to fill the whole description up with different tutorials. But this one is really nice to come into if you aren't going for the full propeller where the staff wraps all the way down to the armpit. Instead, you can just do a short propeller from the hand across the wrist into your forearm roll. Another thing that you can do from that forearm roll is you can come right back into your palm spin from the forearm roll. So once the staff's rolling on top of the hand, you can let it roll onto the palm and you're back in a palm spin, which means you can come right back into a propeller. And that's kind of a nice way that you can come up and down into your propeller from between a palm spin and a forearm roll. Another trick that you can come into if your propeller makes it all the way down to the armpit is this little kind of like a slap back joel or a forearm roll trap or arm trap position. So as soon as the staff makes it across the armpit or chest, you can extend the left hand out in front of you, palm face up, to catch the center point and bring the staff out to your left like so. And if you want to get really crazy, you can even come into a front body or front side Andre matrix from your forwards propeller. And you'd come into it from that same way where it goes across the armpit, kind of towards that arm trap position, only come into a front side matrix. And now we'll focus on our reverse propellers. So we come into a counterclockwise palm spin on the right hand so that it feels like the center point wants to roll down the pinky side of the hand to exit from the palm. So the center point exits down the pinky side of the hand across the kind of top of the hand, top of the wrist, and then would be going down at the top of the forearm, where you have a couple options to go from there. So one thing you could do is just let the center point roll towards you down the top of the forearm, and then the center point would roll up the arm towards the shoulder, which is a really nice way to come into a minimal Steve. One option is once the center point's rolling down the top of the forearm, you can let the center point pivot at the elbow, rolls away from you, pivots at the hand, and boom, you're in a reverse forearm roll. So from our palm spin, propeller, reverse forearm roll. we can also use that reverse forearm roll to come right back into a palm spin. Another option, if you're able to get the propeller to go down a bit further, you can have the center point travel from the top of the forearm more towards the inner elbow, and then across the front of the armpit to roll towards your back, which would set you up for a matrix, or more specifically, Andre matrix. So to wrap things up here for our propellers concept video, hopefully now you've already put the dots together, how we can come into a lot of the same things from our propellers. From our forwards propeller, we can come into a forearm roll. From our reverse propeller, we can come into a reverse forearm roll. And from our forwards propeller, we can come into a frontside matrix. And from our reverse propeller, we can come into a backside Andre matrix. So that's going to do it for this one. I've decided that the last tutorial of each month, at least I'm going to aim for that, is going to be something more like this, more of a conceptual tutorial rather than just covering a specific trick. We'll kind of cover a concept that will give you the tools to use these tricks and make connections out of these tricks on your own. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that one. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for supporting, and I will see you next week.